So I decided to go for a game that I definitely know is good this week. What a novel surprise. Yeah, it's not been long since I played Super Farm, but in all honesty, I feel like it's been forever since I played a game that fully worked and that I actually like playing. So I decided to share something that isn't really obscure, but it is a definitely interesting talking point. Postal 2 is the sequel to the 90s isometric shooting game about a man who goes on a killing spree. I personally haven't played the original Postal, but that's more or less fine, as Postal 2 has very little connection to the original. In this game, you live the life of the Postal Dude for a week, meaning that from 9 AM to 5 PM, you go out and do all the things that the Postal Dude needs to do, from going grocery shopping to meeting celebrities at the mall. The game itself is a deconstruction of 90s first-person shooter tropes. It more or less puts you in the shoes of a sociopathic FPS protagonist like Duke Nukem or Serious Sam, and allows you to more or less see how they'd handle a day-to-day situation. The Postal Dude barely reacts to anything around him, and when he does, it's usually through some quip or some sort of sadistic or snide comment. Or at least that's what I got from it. The Postal Dude is whatever the player chooses for him to be, whether they want him to be a pacifist, a vigilante, a sociopath, a psychopath, Jason Voorhees, it's all down to the player's individual preference. Needless to say, I played this as myself to make it a bit more interesting. A hyperbolic version of myself, but yeah, just to make it a bit more interesting. Now, I will admit that I played it on a relatively low difficulty setting, for anyone who likes to shame people for that. I do have a reason for it though, because in this game, the game changes depending on the player's chosen difficulty. NPCs have more powerful weapons depending on your chosen difficulty, and it also means the difference between this game being a normal life simulator on crack, or this game being my life simulator on crack with literally everyone trying to kill you with rocket launchers. I like the normal difficulty because everyone has small arms that they would have in real life. Everyone carrying handguns and the army having assault rifles seems pretty standard to me, rather than literally everyone carrying rocket launchers or some crazy shit like that. I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Postal Dude doesn't live in a third world country like Iraq or Somalia or Texas, so it's unlikely that people would have to carry assault rifles around. So, being fortunate enough to boot this game up the last week of March, I ended up getting a new added option of paid DLC. I stocked up my trolley with the essentials only to be refused service.
Nope.
Because it's an elaborate April Fool's gag. Damn, and here I was ready to spend $200 on all this shit. I mean, who wouldn't want the Gary Coleman Romance expansion pack? Anyway, now that I'm done dicking around, let's start the week. Our story begins in Paradise, and look, 2,000 people have died recently, saving me quite a bit of work. It's here that we're introduced to our protagonist, the Postal Dude. We get to see what kind of life the Postal Dude leads, and it's pretty chaotic to say the least. He lives in a trailer with his morbidly obese wife, and his dog that pisses on him, and his aircon broke.
Why isn't the AC on? Broken.
No matter how many times he shoots it, he just can't get it to work properly. I find that to be a problem often. Anyway, the Postal Dude heads off on his adventure that we know as life. So I get my list of jobs to do today. Nothing too crazy, just picking up my paycheck, cashing it in at the bank, and buying milk. Seems like a pretty straightforward day. I'll find some way to fuck it up though. I start off the day by paying my neighbour a visit, who doesn't really take kindly to me just entering his house uninvited. However, using the magic of friendship, I taught him to overlook such trespasses. I then catch this twat trespassing on my property, so I booted him up the arse and sent him packing. Fortunately, Invisible Gunman is here to save me as he starts firing assault rifle rounds at the fleeing jackass. Fortunately, he's able to find a real assault rifle after a while, as it's hard to aim without the sights on the top. I then do some exploring and treasure hunting, where I find money and even an assault rifle, before the treasure trove's evil guardian starts shooting at me. Fortunately, I saved myself using a big-ass assault rifle.
I was minding my own business, just enjoying my Second Amendment rights, and you people have to freak out on me.
I then encounter a local miscreant prowling the streets and looking for trouble, so I decided to teach him a lesson. Oh shit, what the fuck, man? This priest's packing heat! Thankfully though, I was able to defend myself, given that I'm already carrying an armory on my person. However, I was somewhat wrong when I thought that a gun would be enough, and so, using quick thinking and resourcefulness, I doused the priest in gasoline and set him on fire. And then, like a dumbass, I set myself on fire as well, resulting in me having to use some quick thinking and piss all over myself. Finally, I just get to sit back, relax, and admire the justice that's been served. Officer? Oh, there's a priest on fire down there. You might want to arrest him. I'm just saying. Don't want to tell you how you do your job, but... I then arrive at the racist convenience store, where I get to pick up my milk. I can't really tell if the developers genuinely got Islam confused with Hinduism, or if this is mocking the ignorance of most Americans. I'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not entirely clear on what the message is with this joke. I mean, it's not Duke Nukem Forever bad, where it's actually fucking offensive to me. Even if this is trying to be offensive, it's too stupid. It doesn't really hit close to home in any way. Duke Nukem Forever, on the other hand, I'll cover that one someday, as I have a lot to say about that one. But this game comes across as a little confused with its messages at times. Maybe it doesn't even have a message, I don't even know.
Here you go.
Please, thank you.
Great.
Man, I gotta stop smoking this crap.
Hello, and what do you want?
Hi there.
Hurry up and buy something. That'll be $5.
You gotta be fucking kidding. Oh, yeah.
I then acquired the milk, and it's at this point that we get to see the task is now completed. It's one thing that I like about this game. Unlike a lot of games that have moral choice systems, this game is all about getting the job done through any means possible. You can do it rationally, irrationally, psychotically, peacefully. It's up to you. I've done a run through of every kind of playthrough at this point, and it gives you a different experience each time you play it. And I quite like that. It also doesn't bog the player down with morals or anything like that. It's merely about getting the job done and getting through the day, through any means necessary. So after having a giant shootout with the convenience store owner, I finally won the day, defeated the evil ogre behind the cash register, and got my hard-earned milk. I wanted to leave, but something told me there was something off about this whole operation. I couldn't really decide what it was. I just had a feeling that I had to investigate. I mean, if it's legal for Britain First to just march into places of business and abuse the people behind the counter over their religious beliefs, why can't I do it?
Every single one of these animals have had their throats cut. They've been offered up to Satan, Allah.
It's at this point that another slight flaw is brought up. I'm a bit of a reloading freak in games like this, and so, as a result, I often find myself constantly reloading my weapon after use. It's just force of habit at this point. Postal 2 doesn't have a reload function, because you never run out of clips. Somehow the Postal Dude fits all of his ammo into his gun at the same time. It makes no sense from a practical standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint it's actually pretty good because it means that you don't have to worry about reloading. And the reload button is the unzip your pants and pull your dick out ready to piss button. No, really. You can imagine how this can be a problem, how I accidentally flash people when I want to reload. It's only a problem for a few minutes before I get used to it, but it often happens when I start a new playthrough after playing a lot of FPS games. So, I find out that I've accidentally infiltrated the terrorist's hideout, like our old counter-terrorist friend, Agent Leslie. It didn't take me long to wipe out my enemies and finally win the day. Oh, and I made a profit of $265. I'm a smarty. Right, you know that Al-Qaeda don't worship Ganesh, right? I mean, I'm just saying. Never mind, fuck it. I think we're past the point of racial insensitivity now, we're just... Mind you, I'm no better for murdering these people. I mean... Actually, no, I don't really care.
That's the ticket.
Pissing on the priest. Pissing on the priest. Spent all fucking New Year's Day pissing on the priest. I arrived to see a commotion outside. It would seem that the violent video games have attracted some local pussies. I mean protesters. Gee, what is this, 2018? Of course, if they watched my videos, they'd know that it was Bucks who were the true villains. So I silenced this farce as quick as possible, and take a few bullets in the process. I arrive at work only to get fired. Great, only the millionth time that's happened to me. At this point, the protesters overwhelm the office building, resulting in me turning against my former employers and giving them all the deaths that they deserve.
I definitely need more of that.
Maybe I should just, Go away. Okay, you run out of your house terrified. I'll go in and steal all your stuff. There we go. You see? If we all just use our words instead of violence, we can come to an understanding a lot quicker. I then befriend a dog by offering him treats, and as a result, he follows me around as my voracious minion. So adorable.
Don't do that, Jack. Never feed a strange dog.
Oh, fuck off, Gary Coleman. What do you know? My final job is to go to the bank, cashing in my check. It doesn't exactly go to plan. Thankfully, though, I was able to cash my check in, regardless of me breaking 84 laws in a row, and I finally managed to get paid. But then some bank robbers broke in and started shooting up the place. So I decided to go to the vault and take all the money to protect it from them. I guess if the police want it back, they can always check the name and address that I left behind. Wait, did I remember to leave one behind? Shit! On the way home, I made another new friend. Hello. Are you having a little dance?
I feel better already.
You're cool. I'll leave the door open for you. I finally make it home, get scolded by my bitch wife, and then drink myself into a stupor to black out for the rest of the night.
Did you go by work?
Yeah, apparently I'm on sabbatical or something.
Well, good. Maybe you can get a few more things done for me.
I'm gonna do a few things to you.
What was that?
Nothing, dear. Enjoy your milk.
Bringing up the moral choice aspect again. The lack of a moral choice system is one of the things that I really like about this game. Unlike a lot of games, it doesn't even care how you do things, just so long as you do them. Due to it not judging you, it's 100% down to the player to determine whether or not they are pleased with their own actions. The world of Postal 2 is kinda surrealist, kinda like South Park or SpongeBob. More like South Park from my view. A lot of characters are satires of real people, or straw men of real world issues, and due to NPCs being very shallow, nobody in the game is particularly likeable, and no player would ever really get attached to anybody. The game doesn't really want to give you any moral or emotional baggage, and wants players to have fun rather than have them constantly having to listen to a bunch of whining from NPCs that they don't care about, or having the game itself tell them that they're a horrific person. I find this to be an issue with a lot of games these days. Telltale used to be a lot better, but now they constantly impose characters and situations on you, immediately expecting you to like or dislike something, or a person. Sometimes even going as far as to punish you with a game over for not reacting accordingly, despite many people having perfectly reasonable reasons for not stepping into a situation. It's kind of like your parents putting you in a room with a girl because they want you to like that girl. That never works. Telltale almost cut Clementine from the original draft of The Walking Dead, because apparently they were worried that players wouldn't get attached to her. Now they've got the opposite problem. They're overconfident in their writing capabilities and assume that we're going to be attached to characters, like a lot of players attached to Clementine almost instantly. An example of this would be the latest Batman episode. Without naming names or anything for plot reasons, one villain was trying to murder another villain, and I personally didn't want to stop it. I figured it was just one less person in the world who was going to cause damage. So, because of this, an attack helicopter appeared out of nowhere and shot me in the face. I'm not even kidding, that's how the game punishes you for not stopping one criminal from killing another. The best part is that the attack helicopter otherwise doesn't appear until much later on in the scene. It's like if in the movie Sliding Doors, the woman who caught the train was immediately stabbed to death by Jason for daring to go against what the movie wants. It's really nice that Postal Dude's simple programming just allows you to do whatever, consequence-free. At least long-term consequence-free. There is a law meter, but it's not really intrusive, and citizens often fight back if they feel threatened, which is more and more likely depending on the difficulty. However, there's no fail state apart from death, and no punishment for doing what you think is necessary, and I honestly commend the game for that. Moral choice systems can sometimes go a little wrong. Fallout 3, in fact, no, the entire Fallout series is guilty of this. Fallout 2 says it's a bad thing to kill slave traders because they are technically merchants. Yes, slavery is condoned with Fallout 2's morality. In Fallout 3, killing someone who's just committed genocide earns you negative karma, because apparently genocide is good when they do it. As you can probably tell, it's incredibly warped to certain people. Some people might even agree with it, but others might not, and therefore it shouldn't tell you what's right and what's wrong. That's kind of the point of choices. We should make them based on what we think is right, rather than what some random developer probably doesn't even believe is right, but just thinks it's the safe bet. In games like Mass Effect, I feel like the morals actually cheapen choices. Because after a while, you kind of stop role-playing in the role-playing games that have moral choice systems. Ironically, you have to go against what you'd want to do, or what your character would want to do, so you can get good or bad points depending on what you want to do as a player. A lot of people are upset that Fallout 4 dropped the karma meter. I personally was not one of them. I know it's sort of integral to the series, like it is Infamous or Mass Effect, but I'm not gonna lie, I personally just don't like moral choice systems. I'd much rather judge myself and not have some other random person judge me, especially if they're not gonna let me explain myself afterwards. Paradise Visitors Bureau. I'm not a visitor, but I pay for it in my taxes, so I have the right to steal everything inside.
Yeah, baby, I am the Lizard King.
So I'm just eating catnip, because why not? Like Halle Berry in that film. Swordfish, I don't know. What, is everything slow-mo? Hey lady.
Now the flowers will grow.
Slow motion vomit. Don't cross the streams. Nice. Sorry about that. I'm not really sorry about that. That was too funny.